Hello, brothers and sisters. I love to reflect on the teachings of the prophets. One of the teachings that always inspired me as a young man was the invitation from President Ezra Taft Benson for all of the people preparing to serve as missionaries. And he gave us a wonderful invitation. He encouraged us to be missionaries to match the message. And I often reflected on that as I prepared to be a missionary, and I've reflected on it since then. This idea of having missionaries to match the message. And I've also reflected on how we need to be members to match the message. And of course, the message of the restored gospel is revolutionary. It's a revelation-based doctrine that inspires even the best people to reach higher and to dig deeper and to become better. And our message is a heaven-sent message. It's an incredibly empowering message. It's a message of light. It's a message of knowledge. It's a message of truth. And it inspires all of us to do the best that we can possibly do. I've often thought about the fact that we may feel inadequate, we may feel weak, we may feel that we can't live up to such a marvelous message. And as I've thought about that and reflected on those inadequacies, I've also turned to the truth that we are children of God and that we are created in His image and likeness, and we are like Him in embryonic form. We are like our Father in heaven. And so we have this divine potential to become all that He intends for us to become. And I think it's clear from the revelations that He wants us to be like Him. And He wants us to be amazing and to be glorious. And that's not pride, that's not arrogance, that's simply a statement of destiny. It's a statement of what we were created to become. And each of us have that potential. Each of us, through the power of God, through the infinite atonement, through the covenants and the ordinances restored through Joseph Smith, each of us have access to the full blessings and principles and powers and truths and opportunities of the gospel. So we have that capacity to become all that God intends for us to become. We are to be, in many ways, the living embodiment of the Word of God. We are to have the image of God in our countenance. We are to incorporate these divine principles in our souls. So these doctrines that we teach are not simply beliefs that we have. They're not simply ideals. They are standards that we can learn to live. And each of us is capable of that. That has to be the case. There has to be an ability, a latent ability for each of us to become all that God intends for us to become. And that includes for us to be surprised and to be amazed by what we can do, by what we can learn, by what we can achieve, by what God can reveal to us, by the experiences that we can have. The revelations teach us that we are destined to match the message that God has if we live according to those principles and if we genuinely strive to be all that we can be. And of course, this is a challenge and it's an opportunity. It's a privilege. It's a benefit. And it's a test even for those who love God with all their hearts. Well, I'm so grateful that the confidence of the Lord is such, and His prophets, that we can be members and missionaries to match our message. As great as the restored gospel is, and it is truly phenomenal, we can become the living embodiment of that message. And that may seem astonishing. It may seem far outside of our reach or our capability. But it's my conviction that life unfolds gradually. We come to sense our power, our ability, our knowledge, our capacity only gradually, and only line upon line, precept upon precept, as the Revelations declare. So I have that faith, I have that belief that our destiny is unfolding. It's not yet final. It's not yet fully clear to us what we will become. We are more now than we were in the spirit world before we came to this life. And we will be more in the resurrection than we are now. We will continue to grow. So it is our capacity for ongoing growth, for ongoing development, and to be the sort of people, men and women, all of us, to be the sort of people that exemplify and radiate the doctrines and the principles of the everlasting gospel. This is a powerful insight. It's a powerful thought that with the promise of the gospel comes the capacity and the power to live it, to love it, to incorporate its doctrines into our lives, even if we've been weak, even if we've struggled. Whatever our past has been, that we have a covenant opportunity to draw down the powers of heaven into our lives and become all that we are intended to become. So I'm so grateful that we can become members and missionaries to match this glorious revealed message, this inspired message, this message of the ultimate destiny of the children of God. How grateful I am for these powerful principles, and I know that each of us, as we seek and search and ponder, can find out amazing new things about who we are and what we are destined to become. How grateful I am for these powerful truths.